presentation. I'll just hand across to Geoff. Just wanted to say a couple of words, I think. And how's the caravanning going up there?
Yeah. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to Kalbarri. It's windy up here, about 35 knots. The squid poles are taking a hammering. In fact, I expect that's probably what's the problem with my signals. They're getting blown away before they get south. But anyway, yeah, quite. Yeah. Carrier pigeon would have more chance than I've had. Anyway, it's all good fun trying. Look, I just thought I'd just give a quick report and on what the club's been up to and what's been happening in the last month, in lieu of the second Tuesday meeting that we used to have. There's been an increasing interest and enthusiasm for the 80-metre nets, and thanks to everybody that's come up. Yeah, so the 80-metre nets are a lot of good fun, and people are trying out the noise cancellers, and I think there's a few of those in existence now. Mine's on order and should arrive when I get back. So that's all. That's great. I noted here Paul and Martin gave a presentation to Probus about not nearly a month ago, which was well received. The John Moyle results came in, and the team that went up Mount William, Paul, Jerry, David, and Terry, I think. Am I missing anyone there? But scored third in the 24-hour multi-op all-band all-mode category. So well done, gents. Outstanding effort. Yeah. And that's stranger. That stranger that I can see on the left there, Charlie X-Ray, came first in the 24-hour home station VHF category. So well done, Bruce. That must be why you turned up tonight, mate, to get a pat on the back. And I think Warren was mentioned for participating in the 24-hour home station with VHF phones. So all in all, outstanding effort from the club, and well done all of those people that participated and got mentioned. Paul, yeah, thank you for the repairs on PARG 2 to date, and we discussed that. I'll get to it in a minute, but Paul's finished the initial repairs on PARG 2 to get it roadworthy and back on the road. We also got Martin. Martin's been doing a lot of work with the ISS and slow scan stuff, received an award, and I think Mark also over in the east, and I also understand, I think, is it John, was also doing a bit as well. So well done, gentlemen, on the satellite comms. That's outstanding. Following on from the Cape Naturalist weekend, I went down we were down in Augusta about a month ago, and I visited Cape Lewin and spoke to the managers down there, and they're very keen to have us do the same sort of thing that we did with Cape Naturalist. And I also visited the Foul Bay Light, which is about a 2 or 3 kilometre walk in off the beach. And so we got 3 lights down there: Cape Naturalist, Cape Lewin, and Foul Bay. And in the back of my mind, I've sort of got that we might be able to do a simultaneous set of operations, perhaps one weekend, and activate all 3 lighthouses. Be a bit of fun anyway. More on that to follow, but just a few ideas that I had. Now, look, the only other thing that I just wanted to mention is that the committee has had its first meeting last week. It was a Zoom meeting. And the minutes from that meeting will be made available shortly. David's just finishing them and circulating them around, but just in no particular order, the sort of things that the committee was discussing on your behalf. The Constitution rewrite, of course, which I've taken the lead on, and that's sort of going ahead slowly. David was looking at the whole membership process with a view to streamlining the process administratively, which will also include a letter from the president as well, welcome people. And I know that I think Leaf's there and probably saying he hasn't got his letter yet. It's on the way, mate. It's on the way. what else? There was just a bunch of administrative type of things we discussed, but also articles for AR. You will have seen in the latest AR that our article made it in there, and Mark has also just done the last one, and that was sent off last week with a couple of photos as well for the next AR. So that was great to see that coming through, and also I understand that we're going to try and get something into the weekly VK6 news feed as well. And Mark and Tony, I understand, are working on that. On Tony, who I can see sitting there, Tony's offered to put pen to paper with some ripping yarns, and I've seen a few of them already, and they are ripping yarns. So we're looking at getting some of Tony's yarns onto the website. They're just short stories. I think, Tony, what would you say? Probably 300, 400, 500 words, aren't they? They're quite short, but
yeah, there's around about that, possibly up to 500 words. Doesn't need much more.
Yeah, but they are ripping yarns. You've been kind enough to send me a couple, and they're highly entertaining and obviously indicative of a lifetime well spent and lifetime experience in amateur radio. So yeah, we look forward to more of those, Tony. And thanks for your offer to be helping with the editorial subcommittee, such as it is. That's great.
I've never known any of Tony's stories to be short.
Oh yes.
Oh, well. Anyway, no, we look forward to that, Tony, and thanks for your offer to help with those articles, and also I think you're working with Mark for the weekly broadcast. Somebody with a broadcast quality of voice such as yours shouldn't go to waste. So thanks for that. We discussed the possibility of a CW, an annual CW contest. And we figured that we might probably run it about 6 months out from the birthday bash, probably about the same, similar rules to the birthday bash, but David's going to step up and put the rules together for that. But so it gives us a few months, those of us whose Morse is a bit rusty. We've got a couple of months to go, but I'd sort of envisage it a little bit like one of those social golf games where it's a hit and giggle, and I think the first CW contest we run will be a bit like that as well. But nonetheless, it'll be great to give it a go. And as an aside, after the last 2 days with pretty ropey communications from up here in Kalbarri on voice on SSB, I expect that CW would have got through, and so there's another imperative there is that CW will get through when voice doesn't. So we look forward to that. There was Martin spoke about the possibility of a UHF repeater. That was spoken about at the last meeting. It's sort of ongoing. There's nothing really to report there, unless, Martin, you wanted to say anything right now on that.
No further developments.
Okay. Yep. Good. Yep. Paul pointed out that PARG 1 and 2 you still need a lot of work, and that we need to probably focus our efforts where we're going to get the greatest return, being PARG 1 at the moment, to get PARG 1 fully up to speed. So committee's looking at that and prioritising work there. We discussed the noise cancellers, of course, which have been a huge bonus, and I understand that I think there's 3 or 4 of them now, and a few others winging their way across. And I think also David's, as I said, that a couple of people have picked up the MFJ ones as well. So it bodes well for HF comms. Maurice, I understand that you're a little disappointed in yours because it didn't get rid of the static crashes. Is that right?
Yeah, no. Chase them all over the place.
Yeah, well, mate, it's not meant to.
You get rid of them one at a time, but they keep changing position.
Well, there is actually.
That was horrible. That was a horrible night.
With a bit of thought, I reckon we could actually make them get rid of static crashes. We'd have to have a bit of a think about it, but if you work out how the thing works, yep, I reckon we can do that. But anyway, for another time.
Well, outstanding. Well, in fact, I noticed the next thing I was going to mention is that the technical Tuesday for next month is going to be on the noise canceller. So that gives you about a month, Mark, to come up with the circuitry to get rid of static crashes. Outstanding.
I'm partway through ordering one as we speak. I've just sent a message to the kit seller. So yeah, you're right.
Yeah, excellent. Yeah, mine's on its way. Hopefully be there when I get back.
He's lying on the floor.
If you order the kit, ask for the SMDs to be, he'll attach them to the board before you get them.
Oh, how do you do that?
Otherwise, they're really small. And don't blow one away like a bit of dirt like I did, and then going to come scratch and try to find it. I found it though.
You found it, Terry. I told you over there, didn't I?
Yeah.
Where's the challenge in that?
There's two SMDs. They're really small.
Oh, well, thanks for the heads up,
Challenge.
Terry.
It's a challenge.
Yeah, excellent. Sounds like you'll be talking next Tuesday as well then on what not to do when you're building the kit. And look, just to finish up quickly, then we noted that some people have got club paraphernalia, some don't, and there's obviously a lot of new members. So David's going to get onto that and find or confirm the supplier, and then get orders for T-shirts and caps and microfibers, whatever anyone wants. So that'll be coming around shortly. I guess David will be asking for sizings, and we'll be able to get an order in for that. And the final thing that was discussed was that Paul is going to take charge of purchase of stores, club stores for the club, and that we're talking about RG58, possibly RG174, as more and more people are going portable. That's the stuff I use, the very, very small QRP coax, UHF, BNC connectors. I'd also wanted about some ladder line as well for those that, ladder line is obviously the best way to feed. But perhaps tonight, if there's anything else that you feel should be in the club stores that we can use. I mean, we don't have a great deal of money, but what we were proposing is that the club buys this stuff and then we sell it as we've done in the past, just for a very modest, probably a 10% markup or whatever, just so that the club's got a little bit of money there. But obviously, we'll be getting the discount when we buy it wholesale anyway, so it'll still be a lot cheaper than you get elsewhere, and of course the quality will be better. So that was the initial committee meeting. There was a lot to discuss, but the committee's sort of all gone away. People have got different jobs, and it's intention that the committee meets about every 2 months formally, and as I said, the minutes will be available. They'll be sent round by email to everybody, and in between, what I was proposing to do at the technical meeting, just as we're doing now, is just give a 5 or 10 minute overview of what's been going on. So unless there's any further questions or any questions, I'll sit back and enjoy the show.
Just wondering how comfortable that floor is.
The floor?
Yeah, it's like you're lying on it.
Not sure what you want to say.
Oh, that's better.
It's not the floor. All right, gents. Obviously, no questions. I'm going to continue trying on 80 of an afternoon, but I've just had an NFED ZEP up the last couple of days. But I'll go and put a full dipole, 40 and 80 dipole up down by the beach tomorrow. So hopefully, I'll have a bit better luck if anyone's able to come up. All right, gents. Well, over to David. Thanks.
All right, thanks, Geoff. Just going to do a little bit of skullduggery here. The talk tonight is about websites. Well, how do you find more radio stuff? And I'll preface it by saying I'm not a real geek or a guru on this stuff. I have a fairly good interest in it. In previous lifetimes, I have been for small organisations, for want of a better term, a webmaster for them. So I play with a few of these different websites. So all it is just a bit of a quick overview on a few bits and pieces, hopefully a bit of interest, and we'll have a little bit of fun out of it. So the websites themselves, oh, look at that. We want to go have a look at something. and there's a radio club there. I'm into line dancing, so I go check out the latest dances. Oh, might need a massage after all the dancing, it's hard work. Oh, might go buy an antenna from somewhere, and we'll check out the weather, so we can see if we can put up the antenna. Might go double check on the rego for the car. Check out Gumtree for an antenna mast for our antenna that we've got, and oh look, we might even go off somewhere and buy a radio from somewhere. So there's lots of different websites out there for all sorts of things. And what is a website? Anybody want to? According to Wikipedia, it's a collection of web pages. Yeah. As far as I can take. All right. Unrelated content, common domain, and it has to be on a web server somewhere. It's no good you writing up or producing your website and it just sits on your computer because nobody can get to it. So it needs to be out there on a web server, at least one of them. A lot of, depending on who you go with and how big an organisation you may or may not be, they can replicate out through some others. Private websites, one that I'm aware of is Defence. They have an internet websites and intranet, which is only people who work there can get in, and sometimes depending on your classification as to whether you can see bits and pieces sort of thing. So there is the internet and there is also intranet. So who uses websites? It's probably easy to say who doesn't use a website these days. You know? There's lots of them out there. How do we interact with them? There's the laptops, there's desktops, your iPad, your iPhone, or tablets and Samsungs or whatever. Even your GPS interacts with a website somewhere to do download, to do its updates on its firmware. Your phone, your dash cam, I think even some of them will send the pictures off to the cloud through the internet. It needs your phone, but it's the one doing the interacting. It's just using the internet on your phone to get where you need to go. So we've got all sorts of companies trying to peddle their wares. They're trying to tell you that their product is the best or their service is really top notch. So they use that. And there's lots of different things. It might be just a bit of information, or if you go onto, as in the picture there, you go there, you can sort of have a look at their products and you can even have a look at the prices and things like that. Clubs, all sorts of clubs can do it, you know, darts, underwater basket weaving. They have a bit of a club somewhere, although I couldn't find that one. They're pretty rare. Right, but they're sort of out there to pass on information and to hopefully try and get people to join up instead of going to some other club. Try to get there. Special interest groups, I guess we are, and certainly underwater basket weaving is a special interest group, more than a club, I think. But yeah, so our website, and that's the WIA page. And that sort of alludes and brings people into our website to try and hopefully get some information on what we do. And we're trying to sort of make it sort of like a fun thing, bit of information to help them out and to lead them down here. And we've got probably a few people that have gone onto the website and found their way here. Government, all levels of government use it. You've got the City of Mandurah there, they'll tell you how much your registration will cost you, how high you can make your fences, who the CEO is. You can go onto their website and find out just about anything that you want to know. And of course, people, we use the website to do things, and even the people within those other groups, they go having a look at other websites to get information and whatever as well. So you've got thousands of people sort of using a website of some description.
Find Wally.
Sorry?
Well, just find Wally.
Yeah. If you look very, very carefully, right there. It took me hours, but he is there.
Sorry about that.
It's all right. Quick quiz. I'll ask the questions, you get to answer. Doesn't seem fair that it goes the other way. Anyway. To do with websites and CSS. Anybody wants to know, has a guess as to what CSS stands for? See, that makes me a guru, because I know much more than you.
Style sheets.
Hang on, I heard a voice from the deep there. Say again.
Yeah, cascading style sheets.
Ah, well done. Somebody does know.
So it's not the
Right.
computer secret service.
No, it's not. No. Very close, very close. Right, so cascade style sheet, or cascading style sheet. And it's computer language, and it's used for helping to produce the layout and the structuring of your web pages. And we'll have a little bit of a look a little bit later on at some. Sorry?
It's all right.
Yeah.
I just had a stubby in his hand. He didn't share.
No, it's a bottle of water. Sorry.
No,
Can't
quite work that one out, but anyway, if it's water, fish make love in that. And the style sheet itself places the emphasis on the style of your website. Right? Your page layout, colours, fonts, all sorts of things like that, and it doesn't do too much else. And it's a bit of a database principle: build it once, use it many times. So what you do is you develop your style sheet, and that's what you're going to have throughout your whole page, or every page on your website. The content will change for every page. However, the layout, the menu will be in one space, something will be somewhere else.
Like when you go to Word, it gives you a different format.
Yeah. It's very similar, except you kind of build that, or somebody else builds it for you. But yeah, it's pretty much just a template. And once it's developed, it's certainly a template that you will go through and use in your website. HTML, we've probably all heard of this one.
Hypertext markup language.
Oh, there we go. Look at that. Hypertext markup language. And it's just a system for tagging all our files, and we can use that to get the font, the colour, and all sorts of things on the work page. There's a couple of little examples there. We've got squarish looking brackets with a capital I, and that stands for italic. And in the little middle bit there, we've got our brackets and the capital I again, and then we've got a word, and then we've got the brackets at the other end, we've got / and the I again. What the first symbol is, all that is just a command. And it's what it's saying is everything that's written after this symbol is going to be italicised, right? Leaning to our piece of stuff. The other end is just the I, but the / tells it to stop. Anything after this isn't going to be italicised. It will just be normal, normal text. Same with the bold. We've got the B, which stands for bold. You probably notice a bit of a resemblance to the I's and the B's if we use keyboard shortcuts. Control B sends our text bold, or Control I sends our text italicized. So it's a similar sort of thing, but this is sort of sitting in the background, and you write it up once and you don't do too much more with it. So we've got our opening command, the B, and our word, and then we've got the closing part of the command, and the result will be our word in bold. Pretty simple stuff. We'll see a little bit more of this a little bit later on. Anybody want to hazard a guess as to how we get our word at the end bold and italicised?
Smoke and mirrors.
Smoke and mirrors. It's actually mirrors and smoke, but you're very close. Yes. Anybody else got any other?
I'm guessing that you nest the letters, correct?
Yes, a little bit more.
I reckon I'd go for the I in the brackets, then the B in the brackets as well.
Okay, that's probably going with Mark with the nesting part. Yeah, all right. We don't actually stick the two of them in between those brackets. We have they sit within their own little set of brackets. All right? Other end of the cancelling. What are we going to do there? How are we going to do that one? / Yeah, we use a / to cancel it. Yeah. What order do you think we might have it in?
Reverse order.
Reverse order? Yeah, pretty much. If you think of it as just ordinary brackets, you know, you're doing normal text and you make brackets, these things have to be in brackets and the brackets have to be in pairs. So we would have the I, we'll go with the I first. Now it doesn't really matter whether it's the I or the B that goes first, but we'll put the I first, the B second within their own little brackets. We then have the word that we're going to turn into bold italicized, and then we have the closing bit. So then we started off with the I and then the B. So the first one we're going to cancel down is the B, because that's closing off that bracket. We then go to the I, and that's closing off that bracket. All right, so anything after that will just be ordinary text, not italicized and not bold. We will see some more examples of that one a little bit later on. HTTPS. Most of us have probably written HTTP, and maybe a little bit more recently the S on the end. Miguel, do you want to have a go with this one?
Sure, it's a hypertext hypertext type protocol, and S is for secure.
All right, yeah. Hypertext transfer protocol secure. And the hypertext or the transfer protocol is what is used to communicate around from my computer across the internet, and it sends whatever instructions there are. The S purely stands for the same thing, except it's encrypted. Right, so it's making it a little bit more secure. There's a couple of letters down the bottom, TLS and SSL, Transport Layer Security and Secure Sockets Layer. Has anybody seen those before? If you have, where did you see them?
Setting up email addresses.
Yeah, Zachary. You've got Office Outlook, or even some of the others. If you're using Google or something and you're adding in an extra email address into the one thing. So you go to the one place and get all your emails in. You go through and you set it up. Sometimes the wizard will do it for you, but then every now and again you have a bit of an issue. So if you go through and you're looking at all the settings in between, or in behind it all, one of the questions will be, does your server require secure authentication? Right? And these two here will be, you'll either tick one or both or whatever the options you have on your thing. So this has been around for a while, along with the HTTP, but that's what it's used. It's using those two systems, this is being the old one, and that's the newer one. But yeah, when you're doing your emails, that's where you'll find it. Well done, you've obviously had some problems with your emails and you've had to fix it.
I'm playing it there recently, actually.
Yeah, great fun. Yeah, changing some of the ports and whatever around just to get it to go. And the last one for here, URL. Almost everyday language.
Universal something.
Universal resource locator.
Where you are.
Ooh,
Location.
oh, so close. Uniform resource locator. That's what I found when I did the research on the internet. That's what I found. So,
What did I say?
universal.
Ah.
Yeah. Wrong you.
Yeah.
I think I'd give him that. Yeah, that's close enough.
All right, 3/4 of a point. 3/4 of a point.
Sure, it's URLs then.
Well, something for some of us it is, but yes. It's a good old web address. That's what we generally refer to it, the web address. That's what you put up in your bar across the top, your search bar. And what that does, it sort of tells your computer through the internet where to go find this bit of resource and to bring it back for you as well. It's no good finding it, it's going, yeah, I found it, it's sitting over there. And you're going, yeah, I want to see it. Right? So it goes and finds it and it brings it back for you as well. It pops it back up on your screen. It can be used for quite a few other things. One of the ones there, it's email. And on a lot of websites, you'll find if you're going to, in the contact us page, it'll have email. And if you hold your cursor, you hold your mouse and your cursor over that little dialog box will quite often come up, and it'll have mail to, colon, blah, blah, blah. All right. One that you probably would be familiar with is when I sent out the instructions for the birthday bash. There was a little contact me if you need to, and that's what I used. So I used a little URL to set it up so it would go open up a email page, and away you go. You sort of send the email off. So that's one that we probably see reasonably often, and all these others you're using them all the time. A lot of times you don't have to write it in. You just click on an icon, and you're sitting in behind there is a URL. Designing your website. Just going to sort of go through a few points. It's certainly not the be all and end all, and I'm not going to labour in too far, but there is a fair bit to think about if you're going to do your own website. First one is sort of manageability. Can you manage it? Do you need somebody else? Have you got the smarts to do it? When I was doing a little bit of research for this, I went looking for courses just to see what they were like, and there was a few there that was 16 weeks. I don't know whether that was every day of the week or just one night or one day a week, but 16 weeks, that's a fair sort of a commitment. And whilst I didn't find out what it cost, I'm presuming there'd be several $100s involved in there again. So if you're going to be designing your own website, or doing this, there's probably a fair bit of time, money and effort is going to be required. As I said, can you do it? Do you need one of your staff to do it if you have a small company, or you're going to get somebody else to help you out with it? The font. What difference can the font make? You're designing your website for the more senior people of the community, and you do it in font size number 8. No, it's probably not going to work too well, because 8 is very, very small, right? So people aren't going to be able to see it. So, little things like that can make a big difference to the performance and how well your website is accepted. The layout of it, you're going to have a menu down the side. Across the top, you're going to have a logo. As I've got a logo here with on these slides, you're going to have something off to the side there. You're going to have lots of pictures, lots of text talking. So you need to work out what you need, what you're going to do from there. Security, if Royce was here, I'm sure he'd have a few things to say on that one. The security from the point of view of people getting in and sort of hacking your website, you need to sort of try and keep them out. The security from people within your own organisation, if it's a small company or a big company, that they can't get in and sort of just ruin your website. If you're a company and you're getting customers in, you're going to have some details. What are you going to do? How are you going to protect them? So there's lots to think about on the security side of things. And this is all something that's going to take up your time, money and effort. Pictures, you're going to have lots of pictures. Where are you going to get them from? You're going to go rob somebody else's website and find them. Do you have them on your own laptop? Can you go get them? It's no good having pictures on your website if they don't mean anything. So you really have to think about, is it value adding in there? Who's going to host it? Probably one of the biggest ones. If you're going to host it yourself, you need a computer system. You probably need a server, because hopefully for you, thousands of people are going to hit your website, and you need some computer system that's going to handle that sort of traffic. They're going to be, even one person's going to go in and they'll be searching all over the place. Right? So you need either a computer system to work that, or you go with one of the commercial people and they put it on their server, and away you go. Remembering, to be a website, it has to be on a server, published on a server somewhere. So we need to work out what you're going to do there. Colours, right. They say white and black is sort of the crisp, clean sort of stuff. If you're into something a little bit more sadistic or devious, maybe black might be the colour for you. Right? If it's something a little bit on the dark side. So you would sort of pick a colour that would suit what you're going to be doing with your website. And once again, coming back to the colour of the font as well. Black, red writing on black background doesn't go too well at all, unless that's really your thing. The objective. What do you really want to do with your website? So you need to sit down and work out. I'm just going to whole heap of information. That's all I'm going to do. Put that out there, and away you go. Or I'm going to be trying to sell something, so you need to think about how you're going to do that and how you're going to structure out your website. You're going to build your own, or you're going to go for a pre-format. Both have their pros and cons. I said, if you're going to build your own, you might be staying with 16 weeks of doing a course somewhere, unless you already know how to do it. And then you go through, you do your cascading style sheet using your HTML, and you put in your HTTPSs, and away you go using a new URL. That's just the start of it. Pre-formatted ones, which is what we use for our website. Right? There is a little bit of leeway there. The beauty of it, the basics is done. Right? You can pick a few things. You can change the colour. You can change a bit of a theme. You can add pages in and things in the menu. You can do a few bits and pieces. You can't go changing the whole website and changing every page to do something totally different. So there is good and bad things. Pre-formatted ones, sometimes that's a lot of heartache, sort of going through and trying to get it just right, because sometimes these little websites don't always sort of perform how you think. So you go and make some changes, and you've got to go back and redo it and whatever. And graphics. You're going to use graphics, as I said, logos up in the corner, watermarks or whatever across the back of it. Right, let's go have a look at a couple of examples of some of these things. We'll look at the sharing and permissions. As you can see, there's Google, and it's the manage the site page for our website. And we know that because we can see our name up there, and there's our URL. Right? The menu's down the side. Sharing and permissions is red, meaning that's where we are there. There's enabled some things there. There's a settings, that might work. There's a settings button, some more apps, and it's a D because I'm the one logged in. So who's got access, right? We go to the public, anybody can find it and view it, which is what we want, particularly for our website. We want people to try and find us and to view it and to look at it and do whatever. We can change that if we want, but that fits what we want. Who else can do something? Oh, look, that's me. And the U is there because I'm the one logged in. If it was somebody else, they'd be there. I'm classed as an owner, which means that I can edit pages, I can delete pages, and I can do all sorts of weird and wonderful things. I can even add additional people in with whatever categorisation or classification you sort of deem. Probably recognise a couple of other call signs there, and they are also owners. There's also one or two other names underneath with varying levels of permission there. And you can invite people in or edit them as well. All right. Any questions on that?
Just a question. Every time I go on that website, it says this is not a secure site. What does that mean?
Okay. That might be your own
Security
settings on your computer.
Oh, right.
Either on whatever web browser you're using, or your
Maurice.
yes, thank you. Yeah, I've seen this moment there. Yeah, so whatever your protection is on that, that might be saying it's secure. It's not secure. It should be because the S is there, but it depends on how far they check it.
What is secure? In one sentence, what is a secure website as opposed to unsecure? Is there a simple answer? I don't know.
I'm not entirely sure of the exact differences there. Secure should mean that people can't actually get in there unless they're meant to be there, and any information that's there should be protected.
It may also be that as you're accessing through your web browser, somebody who's got the ability to monitor what you're doing might be able to see, what you're doing on the website.
Well, certainly the word secure comes up when you go to payment systems. They tell you it's
there.
You hope it's like secure when you put your credit card on.
But I would suggest that's probably a very high level of security.
Okay.
One would hope so. But yeah, probably a little bit higher than what we're talking on there. But it should still be giving some sort of protection somewhere along the line. All right, we'll close that one down for the time being. Now, in our little quiz, we looked at HTML, and there is some there. Now, I found some, and I did a screenshot of it, and what is there is just a very small cropped section so that we can at least read the words. Because if you have a look at it, and we'll see some a little bit later, some of the wording is rather small and rather difficult. If we have a little bit of a look around, there's a few bits and pieces. We've got padding left, 38 pixels. And we've got padding left, 57 pixels. So there's there is some sort of padding somewhere along the line, and I'm guessing it's down the side of the page. Here we go, we've got padding left again, 38 pixels. And we've got 19 there, 19 there. There's some 57s somewhere along the line. There's one there. Right. So that's part of our cascading style sheet. Something that has already been built. Our database principle, build it once, use it many times. So to get our pages looking the same, right, you write up the style sheet and you go through and you try and use that as many times as you can. If you have a little bit of a look across the top here, we'll notice we've got the our square brackets. And so what are those ones doing? These ones here where the cursor is. Stopping a command. Right, we've got a forward slash with an A, right, forward slash div, forward slash li, and ul as well, and another li. I'm not too sure why that is there. And on this stage, I don't know what the A is, although I'm guessing, because there's an A here with HF or HREF in there, right? So these ones here are going to be shutting down. They're stopping the command of whatever is in front of it. You know, we can't see the entire line because this is cropped. But if we just go a little bit further, we're starting LI again. And if we have a look around, we can probably find that we've started LI here and we've started div there. Now a little bit further down the line, we're going to be shutting them down. And we'll see a little bit more. But as our eyes are adjusting to this sort of stuff, we can start to see some words that actually make sense to us. Type activities. Activities and events, birthday bash August 20. Right. Because they're in light blue, they are URLs. Right. And I'm not too sure what that signifies, but the HREF, I think it's hyperlink reference, because this is a hyperlink reference to go to somewhere. Right? You can't see what's there because we've missed the line, but we've got one here, and it's got LE Field Day. And I'm going to guess it's John Moyle Field Day, because just a little bit further down, we've got John Moyle Memorial Field Day in black. A little bit of a difference. John Moyle again, 2015, 20, Jotta. Swap Meet, Hamfest, 2017. So we can start to see a few bits and pieces and words that probably make sense to us, because if we've been onto the website, we've seen those things somewhere along the line. A lot of other gobbledygook, all this sort of stuff, I have no idea what it is. It's obviously setting something up, and it's part of our cascading style sheet. So let's have a little look. Some of those things that we read, club activities. If we go back, it's not going to do it for me because it's a different system. If we go back, these words were up the top as well. I don't know whether you saw them or not. But that bit that we were looking at in the HTML was that part of the menu on our website. All right. So that was all setting, and all that sort of stuff there was all setting up that part of it there. It did continue on down, but it was starting to set that up. So there's a fair bit to it, and as we'll see, that there's a there's a fair bit to the stuff that's in behind. Now, hopefully, let's go have a little look at PARG. And if we leave the cursor there for a second, the dialog box has come up. What have we got? It's a URL, isn't it? Right, so that's sitting in behind there. So let's go have a little bit of a look at our website. Right. From this point here where the cursor is, down, you're probably used to seeing that, although on this screen it looks a little bit of a different colour. It's usually a little bit whiter than that. But you'll notice there's a few bits and pieces across the top. It says home, that just matches in with that. If I was to click on that, it would come up, and it was updated on August the 7th at 1:22 in the morning. So it's either up late or it's Eastern Standard Time. So it wasn't quite so late. You know it's me because I'm logged in up there. We've got an edit page, we've got a create page, and we've got some other settings that we can go through. There was that sharing some permission that would take us through to that page that we saw before. We can print a page, copy, delete, and do a few other little bits and pieces there. As you can see, it's probably not a great deal because it's a pre-formatted website and we can only do so much with it. One of the things you can do, and we'll see how it goes, you click that one and it will then bring it up to show the web page as you would normally see it. Because I'm logged in over here, I see things just a little bit differently. Right? So we go through, and remember that the picture of the HTML that we had up there. Right? Let's go have a little bit of a quick look. Did that come up, Mark?
Yep.
Okay. So there we have some of our HTML. Right? There's lots and lots and lots of it. Down the side here, we've got line numbers. If we go to about line number 760, unless I know I need to get more of a life and get out more. Tools reading. 727, there we go. Line 760.
Could you slow down a little bit?
Speed read. Oh, look over the side here, we've got URL, we've got image. There's a great stack of long stuff over there. You ready to go?
Yeah.
Not all, oh, well, there's line 761. That is one line of text.
Wow.
Right, so there's a fair bit of, you wouldn't want to make a mistake going through and doing that. So I think it would take you a month of Sundays to try and find it out again. But yeah, that's some of the stuff that's in there. Now, if we go down to about 850, yeah, that would be about it. In there, about there somewhere, is the bit that I cropped out of there. And you know it's there because we've got club activities and events. There was John Moyle. What else was there? There's John Moyle Field Day again, and PARG Swap Meet 2017. And if we have a look down further, there's more of the menu, right? Some of the things that are in there. So that there, and there is 1,062 lines of text. Now remember our IMLB, your italicized and bold. We had the opening and we had the closing commands. Right up at the very top, there's a HTML opening it up, and right at the very bottom, there's another line closing it. Right? And they open up, there's closing script, and there's an opening script up there as well. Right? So within that, that's one bit of text or style sheet or whatever that is. So there's a fair bit in there. Right? We're opening up a script, another script, and we're going through. And if you have a look at some of these things, you'll find they're opening up and closing, and they're using, there's a closing command, there'll be an opening one there somewhere along the line. So there's a fair bit in there. And as I said, you wouldn't really want to make a mistake along the way. So we go through and there's lots of stuff down the side, information, whatever. And there is some members have put some articles in here. And one of the ones is getting PAKRAT 2002-32, getting it set up. And there it is there. Now, this is, I'm putting him right on the spot. This is Terry's article, and he's written it in. We were talking about it a little while ago, and he said, oh, I spotted there's a mistake in there. Need you to fix it up. Yeah, no worries, send it through. So what we're going to do now is just make those changes. Now, Terry sent me through the sheet, so hopefully we'll get it right. And one of the bits there should be all lowercase or all uppercase?
Lowercase.
All lowercase, right.
So I actually bought a PAKRAT and a program along to show you exactly that. But I can't put it up on the screen.
Right. Now,
you can use this. Yeah.
All right. Before you notice I sort of went to try and do something, and I can highlight it, but it doesn't do anything. I need to go in and actually edit the page. Click the edit button. So it was loading the editor, and now we can actually do something with it. All right. So we find the little bit there, and we put in. Is it?
Michael in one word.
With the.
Did you do all that to set that up?
Eh?
Did you do that to set that up? Sorry. Huh?
Oh yeah, that there, yeah. I've got it here. Like to do it. It's pretty. It's
probably out of range.
Why do you need to do that?
What? I think David's probably getting to it. But,
no, the sequence.
Well,
I mean,
well, to get that to run, you've got to get that the PAKRAT to run. It runs in DOS, right? So you actually you get that talking to the computer. It's a computer language before you can actually go into the RMS and the email program.
Yeah, okay.
Right, and that actually just builds a bridge basically.
Yeah, okay.
Between that, yeah, you just got to get that running. Talking to each other.
Okay, so the two areas, and the reason it didn't work before is obviously the keyboard's out of range from the set over here. Now, Terry sort of said we need to put in MyCall, which is a command or something to do it. I'm guessing we really should put it in here as well, Terry.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Yeah. So if we put that in. So I've now gone through and I've edited that. So all I need to do is push the save. Saving, and it's done it. Now if we go to the other page, which was the page that we view as normal, as a normal person, as opposed to somebody in there, there's our changes. And if I've been a little bit quicker on the keystrokes, and can you see that, Mark? Thank you. All right. If I've been a little bit quicker, it's pretty much instantaneous. Right. So whatever you do. So if you've got any articles that you want me to put up, put them up. The only thing I'll do is to sort of format them so that the page looks the same. I'm not going to change too much unless there's an obvious spelling mistake, a bit of punctuation left out, something a little bit more I'll talk to you about it. Sort of. That's how quickly it can be done on the website. And so we made changes. So that's now been done. So when you go and have a look at it, there is the changes that have been made. So I've just come back to me being logged in.
You want to log into this thing now or not?
I've just got a little bit more, maybe you can try again. All right. So is there any questions on that? Anybody want to see anything else on there? No? All right. Let's log out of that. All right. So that's pretty much it. Just gone through and just had a look at the website, what you need to do, what we can do with it, and this little part here. So there we are. There's all the different sort of websites, and they're all doing pretty much exactly the same thing as what we've just sort of talked about. Some of a greater extent, some to a lesser extent. So there's all our websites. They're going. And those who have a military background will recognise that statement. Any more questions? Anything else that I can point?
All of the above.
All of the above.
So
Right
someone
after
actually,
my name is.
someone actually has to go through and do those scripts manually, do they? Or is there an automated process of some sort?
There might be an automated process or automated process these days, but certainly in the old days, they would have to actually go through and write that up.
Yeah, because that would take a long time.
It would.
And
I'd
that would take a long time even for work.
Yes, it would. I had a friend who was doing some web stuff, and she sort of watched some of these people designing and whatever, this stuff, and some of them were excellent on the designing part, but didn't quite really understand computers, which seems a bit strange. They'd get to the end of that and it didn't work, so they just turned the whole lot off and restart again. Just didn't quite understand, well, maybe you need to go back and have a look at what you've done. And using the cascading style sheet, you would develop that. So that's one little bit. Once you've got that, then it's there for everything sort of. So you would do it in little small chunks and then put it together. But yeah, that one great big long line, because we saw the numbers going down the side. So yeah, that's pretty much just one line of text. Yeah. And it went for quite a few scrolls through there sort of thing. So yeah, but a lot of it sit there and.
So there is an automated process.
I think so. Yeah.
It must be.
Yeah, there is. I think it's Maurice asking the question. There's software that you can get off on the Mac. Certainly, we've used where you can. It's just what you see is what you get. So you can. It's just like editing a Word document, and it does all of that. That HTML behind the scenes.
You can use Microsoft Word to write up a lot of that stuff and then transfer it across. Yeah. You'd be no good with pushing the end key, would you?
Yeah, there is an easy way to do it.
Get somebody else to do it? That's the one, yes.
Actually, a serious question for you. If you want to have your own website, I mean, do you then still have to say, like I go through TPG, do you still have to pay them to provide the. Do you just pay for a connection, or you got to pay for the whole 9 yards?
Well, you would need to pay for the services of whoever is publishing it, and it's on their server. Now, whether that's with a commercial deal with somebody, or if you have a friend that's sort of got something there and they're willing to put it up for you, for maybe a carton or the universal language. Yeah, but somewhere along the line, unless you get your own computer system and a server that goes with it, big enough to handle whatever you're going to do with it, then you're paying for that anyway, so it's costing you keep. So yeah, it'd be a bit of cost. We're quite fortunate with our website is that we're actually running off somebody else's server, from what I understand. I think so, yeah. Any others?
I guess that looked very tedious, obviously. That was the impression we all got.
I thought that was just my presentation.
The example, just to put us all off on the wheel, no, I'm trying to do that for a living.
There are some sadistic people. Yeah, that's what they do. That's their calling in life. Or that's what they call it.
It's not called coding, like computer programmers call it coding.
Probably is. Yeah, I don't know the correct answer to that, but it's probably just one of those colloquial type terms.
I assumed everyone else there was some simple way of doing it.
Well, I think it was Geoff that sort of said, there are things that you can sort of use to write it for you.
Speed it up.
Yeah, and it would be probably a program, and I haven't seen it, what they call GUI, graphical user interface, which is what we have with our all our things. You click on an icon, and there's a URL, and there's a whole heap of that gobbledygook language sitting in behind it that you don't worry about. You don't have to know. You just click stop, start, or whatever sort of thing. But yeah, it would be there, and that program probably just sort of type anything into it, it does it for you.
Am I correct in saying most of the big providers always give you a small amount of web space for nothing on their server? I think that's on with Telstra. I'm sure they all provide in your package. You always get some small amount of storage somewhere on a server.
If you were to go to Helium, I think I've heard If you're a website designer, put your adverts on.
No, I mean, just the server side of the free
Yeah.
server.
So if you go to them, they would have a server, and yeah, for the package of whatever it costs you, it would be a space on their server. So they would be hosting it for you. And so,
I mean, just for being a customer for it's not like Big Pond. I'm pretty sure Martin helped me out because
not for websites, I would have thought.
That's correct.
It's free.
Yes, they give you.
Everyone gets free.
They give you some space that's visible to the net.
For nothing. It's always been the case.
If you bring up the club menu again and go to the PARG's support, that takes you off to a server which is in my office.
Which is on Big Pond.
So that's my provider, but the server's actually in my office.
Oh, okay.
So you can set your own server up if you want.
David, you were talking about the cascading style sheet sort of template. On the PARG website, we have sort of the PARG website template. The PARG-S website is completely different. So it's got more pictures, and I guess it's a bit more flexible. Question for you: Can you sort of well, two questions. One, within a website, can you have different cascading style sheets? Sort of, different parts of the website, you've actually got different style sheets. That was the first part of the question to think about. And the second part is, can you actually merge somehow? So, if we got all the PARG data in one and we decided to make it look like the PARG-S website, for instance, can you actually sort of merge stuff, or is that
to answer your question, yes or no? Technically, yes, you can have the different parts of it looking differently. What you would need to do would be to redesign a new style sheet, which the website that we have, you can't do that. We can change, but it's a global, not that I've actually gone into it, but from what I can see, it's a global change.
Yep.
And you can go from there. Part of the difference is that with PARG and PARG-S, and Martin will correct me on this if I'm wrong, but it's probably two different providers doing it. Ours is through Google. Is yours through Google or different? So many different.
Mine is through me.
Okay. One is through Google Sites, right? Whether you like them or not, that's who it's through. So they have their own little setting. Martin's is through him, so he has designed, grabbed, squandered or whatever his little bit. So he's got some different bits and pieces. He's got scrolling piece across the top. Ours doesn't have that functionality. There's a few other bits and pieces that his has got that ours doesn't have. So we can only work within that template and the frame. I can change the color, I can change the font. I probably can't do too much more beyond that. One day I'll sit down and actually have a play somewhere along the line sort of thing to see what can or can't be done. But from what I've seen so far, no, I can't. So if we change one page, they're all going to be the same, and you can't sort of merge. You could take, if you went in behind the scenes and do a Control-C copy, and you can put it onto the other, but some of the functionality wouldn't work. Scrolling things wouldn't work on ours, and it would be nice to have a scrolling thing on ours as well, sort of thing. But yeah, it doesn't always work.
So it'd be a mess.
The Google site probably it will have a very limited amount of disk space that you can use. So the PARG-S one, there is no limitation apart from the size of the hard drive in my machine.
Yeah.
So that's it.
What you can do though, Mark? Oh, sorry, Mark. What is possible though with a lot of the apps, the software that are commercially available, allows you to do every page can be completely different because the software will do that. But when you use some of the softwares for developing a website, you then need to host it at a different host. So the Google hosting and Telstra, and I suppose iiNet and a lot of those hosts allow you to, they offer you space, but you need to use their software, their actual their software to develop your website, which limits what you can do.
Yep.
If you want to go outside, then you can do so with some of these software apps, but you've then got to go and get another provider. And normally in the software, it gives you it automatically uploads the HTML and the language and everything. It'll upload it so directly to their server. So I guess what I'm saying is that the software apps certainly that I've used, it's just what you see is what you get. It's just like editing a Microsoft Word document or a PowerPoint document, and it just automatically does everything behind the scenes. But of course you're limited to whatever the software does, in the same way that what David's showing there on Google, it limits you to whatever functionality that they have, if that makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.
I also knocked around on the last trip that I made overseas during the wee small hours when jet lag attacks and you can't sleep. I played around with Wix. You may recall that, and that's still there. And I can send you that address. But they do want money. You can produce it and build it, but then if you want to make it readily available for everybody, then you've got to start paying them with the Wix people. So, but that's, once again, is a system. You log in and you select the templates and the style sheets that you want to use. And I had fun with that. The one with running from my home, I stole style sheets from anywhere that I thought looked good, copy and pasted, and then changed the colours and the names. And
to protect the GUI. Yeah. Database principle, that's all there is. Build it once, use it many times. Right, thanks very much for listening in.
Press the button. Other than to say on everyone's behalf, thanks, David. That's outstanding presentation on websites, and it I think given everyone a greater understanding of what's happening behind the scenes, not only in terms of the software, but also in PARG when we ask you to change the website. So yeah, thanks for that, David. Outstanding.
Absolutely, well done.
Yeah.
Okay.
I was going to say, there's also you could upload. There are some sites that host for free. So I've written a couple of things and I put them up on GitHub. And GitHub, it's a place where you can share software, and because you're sharing it, it's hosted for free. So actually, tonight I was just working on a style sheet, so it's coincidence that you were talking about it, and it's a pain writing one up. So, but anyway, it's good fun. Yeah.
That's why you knew what CSS was.
Yeah, I was in the middle of rewriting one. Having some issues.
So exactly how far away from the Earth are you in your shack there?
1 meter above the Earth.
You're going to tap out some Morse.
I said to John I would look at his Morse key, and I was horrified when I saw it because it was so jammed up. And it actually works now. You can tell Morse code. And you want me to do it on there? There we go. Where is it? It's not there.
In the middle.
It's the key itself is, believe it or not, a very functional key. It's an El Cheapo thing. They came out on the market many years ago for about $4 each, and they were very, very popular. They're a Yankee style where you drive it with your finger. And to me, that's a horrible thing to do because fingers get very tired and the keys are very close to the table. For me to operate that properly, it needs to be another 1.5 inches higher to start with and get rid of all this junk out the back here. So that's okay. It stops the key from tipping if that's not done right.
A pair of pliers, you can make it lower.
Oh, you probably do. But, the American style keying is just finger. They don't use anything else but their fingers. I prefer the British style, which is where you use your whole arm. So you use your arm and your wrist to give you the rhythm of the code. And that's so that can be changed. I've got one of those I used for years at home. It's slightly bigger than that, and it's on a high board, which takes the knob itself away from the table. It gives you a better deal. If you do this, your fingers will get very tired if you're on a long session.
It's like typing, as in like an RSI type thing.
Yeah, it is. You get very, so you're looking at all these muscles up here. If you look at your arm, you see all the muscles working in there, all because of your fingers. They get very tight. But when you use your whole arm in the right place, it's easy and it's a natural rhythm. It's just a natural rhythm of your wrist and your arm flexing to do the dits and the dars.
So Tony, was this set up specifically so that Geoff would be able to read that Morse? The fact that it was actually light signals as well as sound.
Well,
it was a bit quick for me.
The lights on the end there for deaf amateurs,
Right?
I was hoping someone would do semaphore in the background.
A long time since I've done semaphore, I can tell you. Yeah. But that's I've got a couple of keys, something like about 80, I think, 80, 84 or something. And I've got some magnificent keys there. I've got a PS213. I've even got an Amplitude key, and I've got an FZ265, I think it is, which is one of the very rare keys that Marconi turned out many years ago. Built in the 50s, mind you, and it's a tremendous key to drive. You've got to take the cover off because it's so noisy and it resonates, but some of the keys I've got there are a dream to drive. These can be hard work.
Yeah, Tony, I was just going to ask, in your opinion, what's a good key for portable, QRP portable? I suppose you're going to say a paddle, but anyway.
Well,
what are your thoughts?
If you've got a radio that is a built-in Kia, vis-a-vis 706, I think the 817 has got one too. They got built-in weighing and all sorts of stuff there to set their own complete electronic key up inside. And yes, a set of paddles is good, but you can make them yourself fairly cheaply. To buy a set of paddles, they're almost hundreds of dollars these days. Even the old ubiquitous Galbraith paddle, which was when I bought mine, I think it was $22 or something, and that was 40 odd years ago. Now they're almost impossible to find. And they weren't a very high speed. You ran out at about 20 words a minute on those. And they just weren't sufficiently precision enough to do a really super fast keying. But there are some lovely stuff around. The average paddles you get today, a good set for $100, $110. Make them yourself for virtually nothing. You can do it right.
Peg, I heard.
You can do it. Yeah, I've got more keys no bigger than a matchbox. I've got other keys that are as big as that. And they are they've all got their uses. A light thing you want, something that doesn't take up much room, and something that gives you accuracy.
Used to be a nice little plastic paddle made in New Zealand, Tony. Remember the grey?
It's a Galbraith paddle.
Galbraith, was it? Yeah. You haven't got any of those to spare, have you?
I have two actually. I've got three. I've got a portable Kia, which is no bigger than this little box of tricks here. I think it's a little bit smaller than that, battery powered. I have another one which has got about a 4-pound lead tile underneath it, so it doesn't drift on the table. That's got an AQ Kia in it as well. I built them both. The big one is the stationary on the mains. The other one is a battery powered for carrying portable. And I have another one I picked up because I collect Morse keys. And I've got a key, and I spent 6 months, virtually 24 hours a day, trying to find it. And I believe there's only 4 left in the whole world. So it's a very, very, very
The
key.
question was, will you
Unfortunately,
sell one to Mark? That's what I just heard.
I could sell one to, you know, yeah.
Tony, I have an FT817 which I don't use for CW, but it would be very nice, as Geoff has sort of implied, be very nice to be able to do that, and a little lightweight paddle, because the FT817's got a keyer built in. A little lightweight paddle would be just very useful.
There is a key that you can get on the net. I'm not sure. I think they're about $35. Don't quote me though. It's a long time since I looked. And you can actually screw on the side. With a couple of screws on the side of the 817. They go straight to the side. You just plug them straight in, bang, and you're away. And what that means is that you're attached to your radio, and your key's not going to slide around the table.
Swapping for a helicopter.
Well, yeah. I can do that.
That's not finished, so.
Oh, no.
Let them fuel it.
That's all right. He's not on their own.
Well, when I came on the air, I helped a friend with his Morse, and other people said to me, "Can you do the same for us? Can you do the same for us?" So for 4 years, I sent Morse code MCW on 6525, 146525 in Christchurch, New Zealand. Taught Morse code for 4 years, 24 hours, well not 24 hours a day, about 2.5 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. The only time I stopped was on Christmas Day and when my son died. And I pulled a pin. But so I plan, I've got 80 lovely, wonderful, glorious, incredible Morse keys. And what I want to do is I want to put them on the air one at a time. And I might even run a competition so you can tell which key am I using today. There'll be a $5 donation for anyone who puts the question in. But the idea is to because, you know, keys are keys. And code is a wonderful, wonderful thing in the respect that once you learn it, it's burned into your brain. And what your fingers are doing is making those noises. And you can't do anything else but send the right Morse code. It doesn't matter, a couple of spoons and a couple of wires and you can send Morse code because your fingers are duplicating the sound that is locked into your mind. And
just on that, Tony, I just wanted to show of hands of people who've got keys who could actually get on CW at the moment. 1, 2, 3, 4, yeah, 5. Good. Yeah. Oh, excellent. Yeah. Good.
Well, the idea was I went on to sending MCW, which is audio modulated CW on FM. And I did that because the Kiwis were so lazy, they wouldn't get out of their armchairs with their handhelds. So I thought, right, I'll teach these jokers Morse code whether they like it or not. And I did that so they could sit in their lounge rooms with a plug-in area and learn Morse code. And it worked. It worked. I got a few nasties. Oh, you can't send Morse code on MCW, on 2 meters, rah, rah, rah. And they went away. I just sort of wore them out. So they used to come over the top of me, and I thought, oh well. And I blew a little 2400 pieces. I don't know how many battery packs I destroyed sending on this little radio, and I finally built a power supply for it, and then I destroyed that. Then I got a TR9130. That I destroyed that. Didn't like long sessions, and in the end, I finished up. What was I using? I bought, and I'm still using it today. It's 40 years old, an IC3200E, and I used to send that same code with that radio. So I'm probably going back to that, and I can run 35 watts from 55 feet, so it'll cover a fair area. It'll get me across the whole of the Peel district anyway.
Leif, you're
a commercial operator. I'm just thinking what Tony's saying there, and he will remember a key called Vibroplex. The Vibroplex came after those, the old-hand keys.
Yes.
They were a little bit awkward, or I thought it was not a very good key. It looked very nice and shiny, mind you, but yeah, the dits were on this finger here, pointer finger, and the dust there. But it was swinging on some, yeah, what to call it?
Well, the dits were made mechanically, and the dials you had to make them yourself. So, and unfortunately, a vibraplex can only be set up for one speed.
Well,
you can change the speed. You can change the speed, but then you have to change your operation.
Yeah.
You can't.
Yeah, the dust you can't really.
You have to.
Yeah,
you're the one that
you can change a bit.
You're the one that's deciding the length of the dials because they're mechanical. They're not mechanically made, whereas the dits are. And you can always tell a vibraplex because the dits and the dials don't synchronize.
No, I never liked the key anyway.
No, I don't like the vibraplex. I've got half a dozen. I've also got a vibraplex straight key, which is good. I've got a set of paddles as well. They're not too bad. But the vibraplex itself, I know. I can drive them, but I don't like them. But, in fact, it was the vibraplex was what I first learnt the code on. And they say you shouldn't do that area, but I did. And it was a homemade vibraplex as well. And I swapped it for a couple of other keys because the bloke was dead to, oh, I like that. He says, I like that. You can have it. Take it away.
Oh, it did look very grand, really shiny.
Oh, yeah, they're a lovely looking key. Yeah. And the paddles, the vibraplex paddles, and the straight key, they're a glorious looking key. And, oh, yeah, they're all good stuff, all good key. And the thing about it is you put all your power up in the dits and the dials and there's no messing about with everything else because you're effectively, in the early days, of course, CW was a continuous carrier that you were breaking. And that was, all the power was going into the dits, whereas the rest of the power you put now into a sideband thing just doesn't hack it because it's not there. It's little bits and pieces. And if you look at your power meter as you talk, power meter is going up and down like this all the time because the power's not there. Whereas you put your key down and you've got all that power and it's there. It's there every time you put a dit or a dial out.
You've got your whole 100 watts every time. So.
Well, you can do, but you won't.
Right.
You won't because you're down in a 100-watt rig, the modern sideband rig on CW, probably 30 watts is your top whack.
Do you still need the same sort of tuning for sending the CW as you do Morse?
Yes. Yes, yeah, anything you're transmitting, you're using a transmitter, you're using an antenna, and you're using a frequency. Tune into it, make it fit, make it work, and your signal will get out. It'll come back in too. So it's all good stuff. So hopefully, I'm going to try and start doing that soon. I've got a bit of work to do in my shack and around the house first, and once that's done, I'm going to try and do a different Morse key every day.
Can you guys hear me?
Yes, good evening, Jerry.
He's here. Listen, talking all about CW and Morse and all that, the rumour is that in the old days at Northwest Cape, that when the military was sending Morse, that the power station at the Northwest Cape, you could read the Morse from the exhaust back as it bloody keyed up.
I don't know about that.
I could come out for every dit and dar, you know.
It's amazing the power that they used to run in the early days. They're not talking about a handle watts, they were talking about kilowatts.
That's right.
And some of them had oil damped arc shields around their contacts and all sorts of. Some of the contacts, the D-type Marconi key, for argument's sake, it's got contacts which are solid silver, and they are probably 6 mils, between 6 and 8 mils square to carry the 30 or 40 amps that they got in the morning. I mean, you're looking at thousands of volts, and then those days, is what they were doing. They were, yeah, they did. What do you think? They had long handles and big knobs on the top.
Don't worry about those big knobs, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. But, you know, if you have a look at some of the keys that they used to have and some of the stuff they did, the voltages they ran, and they did it in the air as well. In the First World War, they had spark transmitters in airplanes. Good grief. You know, and they're looking at thousands of volts. And because the early transmitters, they were keying the antenna. They'd crank the big beastie up and say, "Oh, let's go." And it was like keying lightning bolts. Bit different today. You could chew these things and it's still good. Not much voltage around there. Well, even on a grid block keying with a tube rig, there's not all that much voltage there. It's a bit of tickle, you know. But this stuff is easy. Low voltage, low voltage. Notice how that's working, John? Yeah.
Thank you.
9 volts.
It's easy. It was just so wrongly adjusted. It's really not on a good board. It needs to be higher to give you. I'll show you how to do that. So there. That's my plans for the future. Anyway, once I get sorted out, I'm working on it.
Work in progress.
Yeah, it is all a work in progress.
We've got a 50-year plan for that. All starts in year 49.
Well, I've got somehow I want to get 80 odd Morse keys on display in my little shack, and I want to use a different one every day just for a laugh. Well, you know, it's something, and Morse keys are like firearms. They're designed, and some of them are designed really well. Some of them are dogs, like the F13A3, I think. That's a dog of a key. It really is. It was one of the first keys they had around, and it was a fairly high current key, and it was all shielded and covered in the boxes and all that sort of stuff. And they used it. They were supposed to have used it in aircraft, but I can't find any reference to where it was actually used. I can find all around it. And they've got one in an aircraft museum in London. Can't think of the name, not London, in England somewhere. I can't think of the name of it. They've got one there. Professor Pereira's got one, and I've got one. And there's another fellow who now is dead, used to have one. A long time to find that out. But I can't, that was the only information I could get out of it. And it was designed to go in the transmitters that they had to go in the air in the First World War, but I don't think it ever got in the air because there's not enough of them left around. Unless they were so bad, they were scrapped. Yeah, well, yeah, that's right. That's right. But I have some lovely keys, and you know, you can get onto a key. Some of you got to work hard to make them work properly. But there's other keys and they're a dream to use. Anyway, that's enough from me. There's other people around besides me.
What do you want, John? Tell us. I've acquired a Crammond Commodore 55i. I believe it's a marine radio, approximately anywhere between 40 and 60 years old, maybe. The previous owner was a instrument tech. He spent time at sea, apparently. And we're not sure whether this was required to be fixed, to be used, or what the story is, because he's passed away. I've reading the book, I've done up a 6.5 amp, or purchased a 6.5 amp 24 volt power supply. I plugged it in and it didn't appear to power up. I don't know whether the valve in it has had it or what. So I did a bit of research on Crammond. Apparently they started in about 1912. Amalgamated with another company, and they went through to about 1960. 65. 65, wasn't it?
Yeah.
So from what we can work out, this radio, well, we don't know how old it is. There's no, I was hoping there might have been a marking on there somewhere, a year or something, and there's a bit on the internet about them, but that's probably all I can tell you about it. So I'm going to see if I can fire it up and go from there. Just put it in just in case somebody wants to have a look at it.
I worked on a ship in 1971 out of Adelaide. It was a ketch, and it had very similar radio on the radio, exactly the same as that. I don't know whether it was an AWI or what it was. I can't remember, but it was exactly the same design as that.
The instructions that I've got with it, they're actually the old step note. Yeah.
Could that be 101?
Oh, right. Oh, yes. Well, that gives it an indication of age as well.
So it'd be crystal lock.
Is there any date on it?
Oh, yeah.
There's no date on the back.
No, I've gone to it. I was hoping there would have been something in here.
And they're all it's all 2 and 3.
I typed it up from the original.
That's an excellent bar for it.
Whether it's got any wrong.
His future father-in-law with it. It's his father. And he said they don't know it could have possibly been in storage for 40 years. It's in the shed, and he's either been going to work on it or.
It's no aging.
It's going.
It's like brand new edition. You don't come across a matter like that too often.
Certainly don't have the same punches as CW.
Like regulars at the back.
Sounds a different thing, CW and Morse.
Yeah, so that's about it.
Continuous wave, that's what they used to call it. Morse is the code they use. Continuous wave was the form.
Okay. So that's the same thing.
Yeah, they talk about they sort of
Is that the original condition of it?
Morse code and
Well,
CW.
yeah.
And what do you mean when you've got collaborating with the internal key?
And the knobs, it's for things.
I mean, one of those full motors has got a socket in the bottom of the key.
Yeah.
Right, so you can plug a key in. Where does the sound come from? The key, is there a
Well, if
Does the
old
old host been used?
No.
it should have a excellent somewhere.
That's right, turn off that.
So when you switch over to CW and key it, that's the side tone that will come through the speaker. That's a bit of a strange thing. I have an FT200, which I use.
Geoff.
And when I
Hey, Geoff.
Yeah.
This radio that John's got runs off 24 volts. Would that be fairly consistent with being marine?
Yes.
In a marine application? We can say yes.
Yeah, I suppose.
Early marine, not these days.
Oh, there you go, yeah.
Yeah, not sure. What I was going to say, mate, is my phone's running out of battery power. It's a phone that's been used all day, trying to communicate with other people and see what frequency I've been QSYing to. Anyway, gents, look, I'm going to have to leave because I said the phone's running low. But great evening, David. Thank you for organising that, and great to see so many people. I'm sorry I'm not there myself. Looks like some nice bits of kit. I think there's a noise canceller there somewhere too, isn't there? Is that
Yeah, we're talking about
two?
that.
Yeah. Well, I certainly look forward to that with a lot of interest for the next technical night. So, thanks everybody, and hopefully catch a few of you on 80 tomorrow if I put up a proper dipole. Anyway, thanks.
All right. See you later, Geoff. See you tomorrow night.
Yep. Thanks.
All right. Okay. Well, here we go. It's control.
Still 4.
This is the noise canceller, which has been sort of tossed around within the club recently, discovered by Martin Fraser. And a few of us have actually bought the kits and put them together, or started to put them together. I'm no technical expert when it comes to electronics. I don't really know how the smoke and mirrors works inside, but I know that it's very effective. It's not terribly expensive. I think they're about $55 plus post. You can buy the boards for them and get your own componentry and assemble it all yourself. The boards are about $11 plus post. I mean, there's nothing fantastic about the componentry inside apart from the fact it's got 2 SMDs in there, which are absolutely tiny. I can't believe how small these things are. A heavy breathe would be enough to throw them across the bench and lost forever. Even when you're looking at it, you don't really think it's an SMD because you need a microscope to see the legs, let alone trying to solve them. Anyway, it's my first experience with SMDs, and I was quite flabbergasted at the size. We've run a couple of tests on these recently at night at my place, and I don't really have a big noise issue, so I don't really know how effective they are going to be in a noisy environment. But having said that, I did pick a night where there was I had about an S3, which is a really bad night for me, and it seemed to work pretty well. It's just like tuning an antenna tuner, really. You set the gain midpoint, and the other 2 knobs you just continuously go from one to the other until you achieve the noise dampening level that you want. The only problem that I've discovered is that it's very selective. So if you've got more than one noise source, you have to choose which one you want to blank out. You just can't sort of turn the knobs and it all goes away. If you're lucky, it will, but if there's 2 different noise sources that are running differently, you've virtually got to pick one or the other. The static crashes with having the other night, that was a difficult one too, because I just couldn't. I mean, I could tune out some static crashes, and then they'd appear somewhere else. So it'd be a full turn of the knob from one side to a full turn of the knob the other side to dampen them out. So, but generally speaking, it works very well, and I was extremely surprised with the efficiency of it. Brought out by VK6 VK5 TM, that's right, yeah, which is an upgraded circuit to the original, which came out in 1986, and that I believe had a HF Vox circuit, which wasn't terribly successful. So this particular circuit here has done without that. They've eliminated that particular circuit, the Vox circuit, and used an external PTT wire, which wires into your microphone for PTT operation. So it's a simpler circuit. It's a current circuit, and like I say, there's not a lot to it when you compare it to the commercially available one and this one. There's not a lot. I mean, it's a big difference, and it'd be interesting to see when we do the test how the 2 actually compare. You got it there? So that's what I'm looking forward to, seeing how they go.
There's probably a little tiny board inside that big tin box.
Yeah, that'd be fairly scary to look at.
So it doesn't really weigh a great deal.
Yeah.
The antenna, the noise antenna, has got to be an antenna which is not very efficient. It needs to pick up the noise and not the transmission you want to hear. So some inefficient piece of wire would probably do in there. What it does is, I believe it picks up the noise and then inverts that. This antenna, the main antenna, also has the noise and the sound that you want to listen to. But because the 2 noise audios, because one is inverted with the other, the noise disappears and all that remains is the audio that you want to listen to. So that's the way I understand how it works. Is that how it works?
So what's the telescopic antenna?
Well, the telescopic antenna it picks up noise within your close environment without having to attach an external antenna.
So what, do you need both or just one?
No, just this one. I've got a switch on the top here. I can switch to this,
okay,
or switch to the external one. So if I've got a noisy environment inside my shack, I'd use this antenna here. But if the noise is coming from outside somewhere, I'd switch across to the outside antenna. Okay. This is not terribly efficient. It was not efficient at all as far as external noise is concerned. Pretty good inside and around the shack, but that's about it. That's the only time you really need to use that. It's just an alternative, yeah.
Okay. The MFJ has the same thing. There's a hole
on the top for the antenna, yeah.
But with that one, you have to open it up to move a jumper to decide to go from the telescopic antenna or the socket on the back.
Right. Yeah, I just just a simple switch, just switch from one to the other. So yeah, that's about it. Terry's built one as well. It's a nice looking one as well, probably better than mine. Look at that, pretty flash. And this was just an old project box that I found lying around. Actually, they should be in a metal box, but Terry's done some fancy work in there to try and earth it all, which I haven't done in this, but I will do very soon. But yeah, metal box is the ideal for these things.
If you can afford the metal box, because you're going to donate your arm.
Yeah,
they start about $37 upwards.
Yeah.
Big money.
Yeah, they're not cheap. Expensive.
It's not cheap.
Yeah.
So the only way to combat that, I just run an earth braid and earth every one all the way around, which would normally be in a metal box. So the earth is common all the way around. That's the only other difference I've done besides yours.
Yeah, and I just earthed the 3 pots across the top.
Yep.
Took that to an earth. But you still get some interaction with your hand. You still get this capacitance thing going on. So you've got to turn it and take your hand away, and turn it a bit more and take your hand away to get it right. So it definitely needs shielding. And actually, Mark suggested plastic stemmed pots would be a solution, which is probably a good idea if you can buy them. I had a look around. I couldn't. JCar definitely didn't have them, so I just stuck with what I had. But if you're building one from scratch, I'd definitely look at getting plastic stem pots.
As opposed to plastic knobs,
yeah, well, the plastic knobs made a big difference. I mean, if I held the shaft without the knob, there was a huge amount of capacity.
Plastic knobs are plastic.
Yeah. So it actually reduced the effect quite a bit, plastic knobs, but didn't completely fix it.
Okay.
So
I still think a metal box is a good investment. You keep the RF out and the interaction, and pick up the noise that you don't want to pick up and all that sort of thing.
We're retired, mate.
Eh?
We're retired, we're all broke.
Yeah.
So Terry, how do you solve those things? I've
SMD.
I have no idea.
Well, neither did I till the other day. I googled it. Right, you really clean your soldering iron up. You get a really fine point in the soldering iron, and then you put a very small dob of solder on the point where you're going to put the SMD
on the board itself.
Yeah, and then you get the tweezers and the magnifying glass.
No, tweezers are too big.
Yeah, and you're going to hold it down, and you just touch the soldering iron on the terminal, and it just goes whoop, and just liquefies.
How many contacts?
3.
Yeah,
and then that holds it. And then you can do the other 2 points.
So if you get your SMD on the table with sticky tape, pick it up with the sticky tape.
Yeah.
Put it on the board where you want it.
Yeah.
And then sticky tape it down and then solder it through the tape.
Okay.
So Terry, if there's 3 contacts, surely you put 3 little blocks of solder.
Yeah.
Well, I just done 1, and then I could do the other 2 because it'll be held there.
Once you've done 1 on the pads, then the other 2 are easy.
Okay.
Yeah, but I actually moved mine around with a pin, and then I just stabbed the top of it with a pin and just held it there. Got my soldering iron. This is after having a few bourbons, mind you. Because I tell you what, any movement at all, and the thing just scatters.
Yeah.
Well, it scares how small it is, obviously.
Oh yeah.
And don't get a bit of rubbish and go like that, and then you go, oh no. I had to try and find them out now. This little tiny I found it though.
Good fun. Good experience.
Your shack's a lot cleaner now. It's good.
No, I don't think so.
And remember, we have to blame Martin Fraser for all this.
Yeah, exactly.
all of this.
How is Martin Fraser going anyway? Where is he?
He's flying back to work as we speak, I expect.
Okay.
That's his changeover day, Tuesday?
Yes. Tuesday.
He's
either flying up there or flying back.
Still doing FIFO?
Yeah.
Okay.
Did he get his Winlink station running again? Or?
Well, it was running. I don't know if he had.
He shut it down, actually. It's having some issues.
I think I've got little boxes in the garage on my head. Dick Smith style.
Back in the days, people actually used to make their own boxes.
They did. We still do.
No, Tony, yes.
I remember that. You call us lazy.
Don't we all have a metal bender in our sheds?
Vice.
A vice, yeah.
I used to cut pieces of chipboard to the right size, and I would use them because of the sharp edges, and I would use them to bend the aluminium around. Most of my boxes are aluminium. I used to just cut the shape I wanted and bend it around that, and just Bob's your uncle.
Characterised by all those little dimples along where you did it with a hammer, right?
Looks like there's plenty of aluminium sheets in your set.
Yeah, there used to be.
Some of my folding work one day.
Actually, don't Bunnings sell copper tape that you can sort of, they use, I think, for snails?
They do.
Cut them and put it around that ABS box.
They also sell aluminium sheet.
And the chipboard so you can bend it.
That's right, that's right.
Actually, yes, that's right, aluminium tape, of course.
Yeah, you can use that aluminium tape that they use in air conditioning. Isn't that an aluminium tape? That wrap the air conditioning tubes up and seal them up?
Panel beaters use aluminium tape too.
Yeah, you can buy it from air conditioning places. Sticky back stuff.
Actually, I think even
yeah.
I think even Bunnings, your local hardware store, will sell aluminium tape nowadays.
Yeah, they do, and also copper tape as well if you want the copper stuff. Yeah.
Window antennas.
Okay.
Great stuff.
That's it. Just hang that tomorrow. It's just like that. Sticky tape, that's all we on. It's all I need.
Yeah.
Terry, what
And glasses.
I definitely
You go to the glasses.
Terry, what were you going to do?
Oh, it was just I only brought in to show you what David was talking about on the to get the PAKRAT to talk to the computer.
Yeah.
But we already overtook it. I think if anyone wants to see it, I can just do it and show you it there.
So, but just got a question here. My PAKRAT talks to my computer, so I don't need to go through that process, do I? What was on the...
Well, you usually get run the putty program in the background.
Yeah, but I mean, what I'm saying is it works.
Yeah.
The thing talks to the computer, so obviously that's already been done. Would I be right in saying that?
Well, what Terry's saying is to actually get the PAKRAT to work. Some programs you need to manually start it up. Other programs will do that for you.
Okay.
So I think that's what you're saying, Terry?
Yeah, because if you just plug that straight in there, the RMS won't work. So you've got to actually get this thing here talking to the computer on the same language, and then you just leave that running in the background. Once it's got you and your call sign and everything in there, then you can open up RMS Express and send your...
yeah, right. But that's exactly what I mean. Mine already talks to my computer.
I know, yeah.
But it does.
Okay.
So I don't need. It's obviously been done because I bought it second hand. You know, the old PAKRAT, been around for a few years.
Is it a mailbox? MBX?
Yeah, one of those. Yeah. Exactly the same.
They were over $1,000.
Were they?
Yeah, they would.
So I did all right.
But I still haven't been able to get this to talk on HF Pactor. I can get
that has Pactor 1. Yeah,
Pactor 1. Yeah, but I can't. I can't get to work. I need VHF, no worries, because we've done that night. But on HF, I can't get anything to work on HF, so I don't know.
Well, that's sad because Martin Fraser had an HF running, and my PAKRAT talked to it.
Okay.
A couple of times.
Yeah, right.
It wasn't terribly reliable because he's only on 10 watts, so he's staying netcore.
Yeah,
so,
I tried logging in the next day, but I couldn't get anything, so I don't know whether it was still up and running or not. It didn't say he was taking it down. So.
Yeah, I had a look yesterday on the frequency selection. He's not there, so unless he put it up today, but I'll have to have a look. But he wasn't there yesterday.
Well, Mark, while you're there, the mesh to repeater link transmit side is not working.
Okay.
So if you've tried that, that's why it's not responding.
I've actually been away for about nearly a week, Martin. So I saw that
it's been down for a week.
Righto. Did you break it?
No, correct the salts because you went away.
I'm not sure, to be honest. I'm trying another radio, but the PTT is not, the Vox is not operating properly for some reason.
Fair enough. Well, speaking of metal boxes, that was part of the process anyway, wasn't it? To build the interface into another box and get that all sorted out at the same time, so you're we couldn't all hear when you were on HF. Right.
Is that a hint or something, mate?
No, it doesn't worry me, but you know, everybody in Mandurah can hear when Martin's on HF.
Yes. Well, I've discovered a solution to that. You just turn the radio off.
Yeah, well, or just disable the transmitter, as you've done, right?
But I'm working on it, so I'll
Good
spend
stuff.
some time on it tomorrow and see if I can get it sorted.
Good stuff. I'll be very upset if I can't talk to the repeater.
I think you did tell me that the latest with your experiment with CTC, it's experimenting.
Yeah, well, that's what started it, and that's what caused me to break the thing.
Oh.
But yeah, I'm looking at running. What did we decide, Bruce? 60, 90,
91.5.
91.5 CTCSS. The repeater is not configured with that yet, but I'm just making sure my mesh to repeater and echo link to repeater rigs are configured with the CTCSS tone. And then once that happens, then we'll program the receiver here to only allow access through that CTCSS tone. And see how that goes. We have a lot of, I don't know if you listen to the repeater throughout the day, but there's a lot of QRM getting into it from who knows where. Sometimes it just keeps cycling until whoever's talking on whatever frequency that is stops. So if we have CTCSS tone access, any interfering signal will not cause the repeater to relay it because it doesn't have that subtone.
Which would be a great
improvement
for anyone.
And the other side benefit is to stay friendly with the duct hunters in the summertime. Because we're sharing the same frequency as the X-mouth repeater.
There's got a couple of benefits. There's major benefits.
And doing it this way is supposed to be the simple way. It's not proving to be that way at the moment. But I'll let everybody know. I think, John, you've already programmed your rig to handle that tone.
I think I did.
Oh, we'll find out.
I did what it said in the books, but we'll find out.
I mean, you can all program it in yours now. It won't make any difference if the repeater's not trying to tune for that. And then when it does tune for it, then you'll still be able to access it. We'll see how it works.
And all the modern handhelds obviously can do that, can't they, as well? As far as you know.
I assume so.
Yeah, they can. I think they all can, so nobody really can't do it. Can't.
You mean all golf phones?
Well, that's what my or a genuine keyboard or a genuine AC, I'm sure they can do it.
Yeah, it's good.
So they can. Yeah, I figured they were all. Yeah, there should be no radio. It's made the last 20 years.
Does anybody have a VHF radio that doesn't have it?
Well, I do have.
Yeah, it's a CW radio.
Yeah, it's a TR2400, in fact. It's still going.
That's the Kenwood, did they have photones in those days?
They did. It was as handheld, it's 1.5 watts.
High power.
High power, yeah. I can tell you some stories about that radio too. But and the other radio I've got is a IC3200E, and that one is 40 years old, and that has tone facilities on it. But it mentions in the book that Well, there's a module for the tone somewhere, but I don't know whether it's built in my board. So I've got to check that out.
So you're relevant using the handheld when you shack, obviously.
I thought I found a use for my original 290R, and so I dragged it out just to find that no tones on the 290R.
No, definitely not. Let's get on.
Yeah. Still works. High power, 1.5 watts.
So what's the tone for area, Peter?
What did you say?
91.5.
I'm going to down somewhere. 91.5 hertz.
91.5.
It's not operational yet, though.
No, fair
But
enough.
you can program it in.
I can program it in, yeah.
Okay, just a sec. Mark,
Mark, are you at home
is that
now?
coming up?
Okay.
Is that, this is my little mag loop solver. So it's designed for mobile, but it's just I'm having trouble with the cascading style sheets actually. Anyway,
Most people are just happy to build the thing.
yeah, well, this is to solve all the parameters. Right? So you've got a bunch of sliders, and the idea is to use your fingers. So here, if I say modify the diameter of the loop, so this is like 0.5 meter. And you get frequency down the bottom, and you've got all the parameters.
Geoff will be very interested to see this.
Absolutely.
Yeah, so you can, if you want to do it like 1 meter, I just sweep over to 1 meter. If you wanted to change, and this is assuming it's copper pipe. So I'm going 19 millimeters, or you can go less or more. Number of loops, if you go for a single loop, or you can go multiple loops. So it calculates actually proximity effect as well. So the spacing ratio, if you're using a multi-loop mag loop. And then transmit power to solve for, the high pressure tuning capacitor. So, built this because the online calculators are pretty mandrolic and sort of old school. So I thought if I made it web-based, it's much easier to sort of, and at least you can sort of see, all right, if I go for something, say 1.5 meters, and quickly assess, all right, what tuning capacitor do I need for 80 meters? 480 picofards for 160 meters and 42. So you've got these pop-ups. You can also find out the bandwidth, say, because because of the high Q of the mag loops. Say at 80 meters, it's 1.6 kilohertz, so it's quite narrow band. It goes up from
So would you reckon, Miguel, you'd be interested in giving a tech talk about this one night?
Yeah, sure.
Because as Martin said, Geoff's been experimenting with magnetic loops at the moment.
Oh, is he? Oh, okay, excellent. Yeah, I'd like to actually see the numbers match up.
He actually managed to blow his finals up, so this might solve a few problems for him.
Okay. Yeah, and the thing is, on a mobile, it gets a bit cluttered. So I've made it so that you can like switch off the parameters that you don't like. So if you're only interested in like tuning capacitor bandwidth, you can get rid of the figures you're not interested in, and maybe just focus on efficiency and bandwidth and stuff. And it all runs on the fly, so
That's good.
That's brilliant. That's really good.
We'll have the graphics sort of follow. Anyway, keeping me entertained.
What's your highest qualification? Have you got a master's yet?
Sorry?
Have you got a master's degree yet?
Yeah, I had a master's when I joined. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, you work this up to a PhD.
Actually, some of the papers I read to do the proximity effects on on ohmic losses were from the 70s, like 1972 and stuff. So
there's not a lot that's new.
Yeah, that's right. The tech's been around a while. Anyway. Anyway, I thought I'd quickly show you before you get off. I'm trying to get it to work on the mobile, like I said. Once it is, then I'll send a link to everyone.
Yeah, okay, excellent.
Fantastic.
Well done. Guys, later.
Thank you.
You've got a problem, mate.
Righto.
All right.
Righto. See you guys.
Yeah, I'll head off. I'll let you go. Thanks very much.
Thank you. Well done.
And we'll see you on air tomorrow night.
Tomorrow night. Yep. All right. See you guys.
No worries. See you later.
Bye. Bye.
See you later, Miguel.
Okay, bye.